Buttity blah, buttity blah, buttity blah,
brightness to their day,
buttity blah, buttity blah, good go,
brightness to their day,
good go, buttity blah,
brightness,
buttity blah, good go, buttity blah,
brightness to their day.
Hey y'all, I'm in the middle of upgrading our area. This is something that I did not record properly. We were gonna try to react to this appropriately because like the other day I was like, oh gosh, I'll have to go like scouring VODs. Then I was clever, checked YouTube history, what day we watched, found the VOD based upon that, found the timestamp. Good to go. So I trimmed the silences out, and before I go into it, we're gonna talk about how today I woke up pretty early. I worked out, so woke up, worked out, took a shower, did organizing, inclusive of that whole thing, getting stuff done too. I moved 100 pounds, but it took me like 10 trips to do it. So that was like really tedious. Whatever. It's nice to see you on a day where I've already worked out, washed my hair, done domestic tasks. I'm having a good day and I'm just enjoying it. So yeah, I hope you're having a good day and enjoying it. I think we reacted to this. As you can see, the sun was down, and I think I was being goofy. We'll see if editing me has to hop in another time or two. I just hope you're okay out there. Thank you so much for your time and hanging out. Thank you. Like, I'm having fun doing this and just like kicking it off into the world. And I don't know, it's really cool that people like, I don't know. Y'all showing up and giving a shit's really charming. I appreciate it, Oodles. Thank you very much. I know that nobody's nothing and nobody deserves shit, so I greatly appreciate the time you choose to spare on me. Thank you very much. It really does mean the world to me.
Hi everyone.
You can come with me. 1.5 times speed. The video is titled "Woke in quotes crowd kicks me out of volunteering at the cancer hospital." Okay, bets are it's gonna be people who are doing pageantry, who are trying to like sow destabilization and fucking disgruntled ass shit.
Thanks for joining me today.
We'll
I
see.
just wanted to check in with you and have a little talk.
At this point,
everyone who was recently
if you
subscribed,
think
so
that you think we are in a world post Tim Pool allegations of fucking working with like an intent to destabilize, it doesn't matter where the destabilization is coming from, who initiates it, or what the target is. We can observe is the prevalence of it, the need to support each other and help root out the negative and unhelpful shit from the zeitgeist. By that specifically, I mean misinformation and generalizations. We need to weed out our own prejudices and also the fucking shit that forwards negative cycles. That's it, aren't you? Do you really think I'm not about to like just be fully aware that no shit, destabilization happens from every venue and vantage of life. Like, that's where people go to sow it everywhere. Duh. If there's a power vacuum, people that like to achieve power will go to this vacuum. Which is why some people go into medicine to be kind and help others. Others go in there to be later called an angel of death. Some people go into the police force with good intent, and some people go in there because they know they may exploit power over others. Some people go into the clergy because they have good intention. Some people go into the clergy because they may exploit power over others. Some people go into teaching because they like to enrich others. Some people go into teaching because they like to take from others. We're on the same page here, right? It's that systems that operate in ways that impact people need internal auditing, likely vetted by international body at this goddamn point. There's enough of us. There's over 8 billion of us, okay? Don't make me get out the paper on decapods and start talking about the American South. I will do this. Don't you make me. Like,
No, thank you very much.
they're gonna be up in our camp. They're up in veganism. They're up in there too. They're everywhere. Destabilization comes from everywhere. It's okay because you can be pragmatic and just make it like resilient. Good enough.
Much for coming to hang out. I really
Just wanted to
appreciate
hear.
that you were here.
We're gonna listen. We're gonna see what the fuck they
Today, I
say.
just wanted to talk about what's up with
They could
my
say
channel and what I'm
anything.
doing online.
I don't fucking know.
I know a lot of people have seen some of my speeches that I've done recently at industry level for the game industry, and I just want to let you know I don't like doing those. That is not something
8
that
strength.
I really want to do. I just want to make video games. I want to make cool things for people. I want to make fun
That's a lot of
games.
strength.
And in between that, while I'm making my games,
Fuck it.
maybe I'll make some fun and interesting videos here and there for people to have a laugh at. I don't like doing industry speeches because We are addressing topics that can be quite difficult to address.
Yasmin has an appropriate take on something. Hi, Yasmin.
I don't think that this kind of stuff is difficult to talk about at all. I think the reason why it becomes difficult is because some people, it's difficult for them to control their emotions. And I do resent the fact that we consider some conversations difficult to have because of the lack of emotional control that a small handful of people are allowed to express. Yeah, it's very weird.
And it will earn me enemies. And I understand that, and I've accepted that. So why I don't want to do these speeches is that, unfortunately, there is negativity involved in what you have to say, but when someone does something wrong, you have to point it out. And if you don't,
Skill point.
things can snowball out of control into catastrophic levels.
Skill point.
I don't want to do these speeches, and I don't need to do these speeches. I don't care about the clicks or the views, but I'm doing this not because I want to or need to, but because I choose to. And I choose to stick up for gamers and developers who feel like they are not being heard, that their voices are being ignored by the games industry. And so that is why I'm doing these industry speeches. I am a solo developer.
Racist.
I run my own studio. I
Life
make my own
leech, we're
games.
good.
I make exactly what I
Or
want.
is it
For better or worse, even if I
rejuvenation
don't have a huge
and
audience, even if my games don't have mass
control?
appeal, that's all right by me. I like to explore sometimes weird ideas. Sometimes they don't always land, but I'm having a lot of fun with what I'm making. All my passion and heart goes into what I make, and I'm able to make games that people can enjoy. So for everyone that has been enjoying my games and has appreciated what I've done, I am so grateful to you guys for enjoying my games and supporting me.
Sweet.
In the past, I've worked in the photography and the photo marketing industry, and I saw the industry and its giants rise, and I saw them fall. I saw all of the elements that went into a catastrophic failure for those industries, and at that point, I was
Luckbringer
working
lets us
with
get more
industry
rare
veterans,
items.
and I was new. They threw me into the deep end to see if I would sink or swim. They wanted to see what I would do in a professional environment, and I learned from the very best. And unfortunately, I lacked the experience, the wisdom, and the confidence to do anything about the things that I saw going wrong. So what happened in the photography and photo marketing industry is people exactly like Kathleen Kennedy came into
Corruption?
CEO roles and upper management, and they destroyed everything. And I couldn't understand it at the time. I didn't have enough experience and insight. And I understand now that this movement that we have been seeing over the past few years that they call feminism is not feminism. The only thing that I can describe it is neo-feminism. It is not about equality, it is about superiority. And I will get back to that topic later on in the video. But basically, these people enter spaces where they don't really have actual interest in, they just want control and a sense of power. And they want people who echo the same ideological and political views and agendas as them, people that will echo them. They'll tear down anyone who doesn't agree with them and put in those people,
We have BGM.
even if those people are ill-suited to the
Let's get
roles
some
in which
BGM.
they are working. And people like Kathleen Kennedy destroyed the photography and the photo marketing industry. I watched companies that seemed like they were too big to fail be utterly destroyed by people who came in not because they cared about the work, not because they cared about the industry, they didn't care about the consumer or the end product, they only cared about their own ego and taking control and assuming power.
Hold on. Let me do the big fixie dude. Actually, no, we good. Never mind.
And that will destroy industries. And that is why I'm speaking up for the games industry, because what I watched firsthand right in front of me happen to photography companies and in the photo marketing industry that is happening right now in the games industry. And I can clearly see, with my own eyes, I can very clearly see it. We're going to have a disaster on our hands in the game industry. But I know that there is still time. If we all work together, we absolutely can put the ship back on the right direction. So, with my games, they all have been quite small over the past years, and I appreciate everyone who's been understanding and been supporting and cheering on my games. Lately, I've just been planning and working on very small games, stuff that I can make in a short amount of time and that I can ship so I can keep paying my bills. Generally, I try to aim probably more than what I'm currently capable of, but that is part of my personal endeavor to continue pushing myself, to keep improving, to keep getting better, and to make better games than I did previously. I just want to keep improving, but lately my games have been quite small. I don't talk a lot about my personal life
shit.
because that's not really why we're here.
That move.
So the reason why a lot of my games, or all
Oops.
my games, are quite small right now is over the past year, I've been volunteering at a local cancer hospital, and I've been playing music. I've been going to the hospital with a fiddle, and I sit in the sort of the public area and I just play, traditional music, just something that's easy to listen to, something calming, something to cheer people up. And the staff come to me throughout the day and they're so grateful that at least I was able to brighten up their day even a little bit. People that are receiving treatments will often come down from their rooms to listen, and they'll thank me for, you know, sharing some music with them. And friends and family who are visiting and supporting their loved ones going through treatments have thanked me for that. And I don't receive any money for that. I don't brag about it. And I do it because I understand what it feels like to stare down the barrel of a gun that's aimed at someone else.
Okay,
and you feel utterly powerless and helpless to help someone. One thing that I find as I go older and older is I feel increasingly frustrated understanding how little I can actually do for other people. I wish that there was more that I could do to help people. I wish there was something I could do to make people's lives better.
Local
and the older
elections?
you get, the more you realize how little
local
you
elections?
are capable of when it comes to that. And so this is something that I can do. Yes, it takes a certain amount of time away from my work schedule. It takes a certain amount of my focus away. I should be entirely focused on my work, on my career, on advancing my studio and making more games. But I've chosen this. I have chosen to spend time at the cancer hospital because even if it's just a little bit, at least I can help someone see that there is hope, that there can be light at the end of the tunnel. And we all know how these things go. Cancer treatments don't always work out. Sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. And it's the fear of not knowing. It's wondering if you're ever going to get to see your loved ones again. It's knowing that they probably only have until the end of the year. And it breaks my heart that people that live on Twitter that don't spend any time in the real world that are now infesting all these different industries like movies and TV and video games.
Damn it.
They don't have this kind of understanding of the world. They don't have compassion for other people. All they care about is themselves and forcing their political views on people. And
I do call the Twitter people a little bit fucking strange.
And there's no room for them to gain any understanding, any improvement.
They end up angry with their thumbs
to become
all
a better
day.
human
That's
being.
so strange.
They've closed themselves off to that, and it just breaks my heart.
I'm very pointed
Because
with
one
my
day they
remark
will be in a
there, though.
position in their lives where they'll need that experience and those skills to be able to handle what's coming their way, and they won't have that. And so I just want to share with you my personal frustration and that I've lost my opportunity to volunteer at the cancer hospital. And the reason why I've lost that opportunity is because people from that woke community, the neo-feminists, who do not care about anything but taking control at all costs. They want control.
Because when you
They
hear
want
his
power.
gripes,
they want to tear down men.
you do have to
They
hear what he's saying
entered
beyond
the-
how he phrases it.
Sort of the arrangement at the hospital, and they wanted to have a tight control over everything. And anyone who did not bend the knee, they bullied and pushed out. And so I had been volunteering at the cancer hospital for about a year, and then these woke neo-feminists came in and assumed control and exerted their power in a way that made the environment unpleasant and unmanageable. And so I was pushed out of that environment because I would not bend
That's
the
what we were
knee
looking for.
to these
Lantern plant
neo-feminists who the internet would describe as woke. But it's more than just woke. It's neo-feminism, and it's not about them fighting for equality. It's them fighting for superiority and control. They don't care about the damage that they cause to the world around them. And I am upset, not for myself, but for the people that I was able to help even a little bit, to bring a little bit of brightness to their day. I no longer can do that in that environment. The other day, I had a disturbing conversation with a lady whom I previously had a lot of respect for. And I was explaining my views that all people are equal. It doesn't matter what your gender is. It doesn't matter what you call yourself with your pronouns. Everyone is equal. Everyone should have equal opportunity in the workplace. Yeah. And she laughed in my face and she said, "Well, you're wrong." And I was shocked.
What?
I thought she was joking, so I froze. And I said, "Excuse me?" I said, everyone is equal. It doesn't matter if you're a male or female. If you're the right person for the job, you should have that job. And she laughed and said, "You're wrong." And she said her reasoning is, for too long, men have been in control and we need to fix it. And by saying we need to fix it, that means you are saying that something is broken. I had brought up the topic of
You
how
can't topple the system by
Ubisoft
enabling its
had a
furtherance. You have to
mentorship program
actually
that
stop it.
excluded
You can't
males.
fucking
And I
not
said, how
break
is
the
it fair
cycle. Being cognizant
that
of the
young
weight
men
of
who
not
want
breaking
to
the
have
cycle.
opportunities to work in this space,
That's inappropriate
that's being
and
taken away from
unokay. That's not
how is it
appropriate.
fair that there are now organizations that are funding and companies that are hiring based on gender and excluding males? What am I supposed to tell young men who want to have an equal opportunity to work in those career fields? Am I supposed to tell young men that they are inferior
Honestly, just
to
stop
someone else
fucking
because of the way they were
discrimination.
born? Because of their gender, they deserve less opportunities and they are an inferior person. Because that is what this lady
No,
is
just
saying.
general
And
protections that
eventually she just
impact
nodded and
everyone.
shrugged and walked away.
Because we're done
And that is what we're dealing
letting
with here.
people
These
put someone
neo-feminists that are
lower.
online, they are not
It's
people
not
who
gonna
care
work.
about equality.
No one gets to be lower.
They don't care about the damage they're causing. They only care to serve themselves. They want control. They want superiority. They do not want
Oh, no.
equality. And I've been so
I
disturbed from
wasted
that
that
conversation because I was utterly disgusted that this was someone that I knew in real life and that we had this discussion and I said,
God damn it.
everyone is equal, and she said, no, you're wrong. This is the mentality that we are harboring and growing on Twitter, and we cannot allow that
I do
evil
be saying,
to
y'all
spread
be
any
angry
further,
on Twitter
because
with your
that
fucking angry thumbs.
is what it is. To
And
claim
it
that someone else is
takes
inferior
nothing
because
to
of their
destroy
gender,
someone's
because
day.
of the way they were born, is not acceptable.
But it takes so
That-
very little to also uplift others.
and we can no longer
Like, I
abide
don't
by
get
that.
it.
We can't overcorrect, and we can't fight that by saying, oh, women are wrong, women are worse. No,
Everyone's
everyone is
equal.
equal. There is no argument about that.
Thank you.
And I know that by speaking out like this, by creating these industry speeches,
don't use Twitter,
I know what the
so no one
consequences of my
talks to me
actions
about
are.
shit.
Before I made these speeches,
I would
had to
tell
think very
anyone when I
carefully,
see prejudice. I don't give a
because
flying
as a
fuck.
public speaker, as a presenter, I understand the deeper
Don't do it.
implications of what you say, how you say it, where you say it, and when you say it. And I know that
Yeah, but I also
I am
don't give a
receiving
fuck
personal
for
attacks
optics.
now. My works that I've created, my games are being attacked. And I know that in the future, I will be review bombed. Anything that I publish now will be negatively review bombed, and I will be criticized. And
I mean, if it's my
have
jam,
accepted
I'll say
that.
something good. But
There's
I am glad to be someone who tries to not say negative
Only
things
two
about
things I
games.
could have done. I could have kept my mouth shut.
Um,
and
this person
done nothing,
critiqued the
or
game
I
that
could have
got
spoken
shut down
up
recently.
for the developers who are caught in this very unfortunate development in the industry, who do really believe in what they're working on. They really care. They want to make games using their passion and their skills and their art, and they're forced into these really awful situations. And I want to speak up for gamers so that they understand that they have a voice, that they are being heard, and the industry does need to hear this. And I have accepted
Divest
the
yourselves of your
consequences of my action,
executives.
that there will be negative repercussions for me, and I've accepted that. And that's just how things
Better
have
consumer
to be
protections.
in order to get the shit
Divest
back
yourselves
on track.
of your executives.
I don't
only
want
appropriate
to keep
hiring
making these
practices.
industry
Let's fucking
speeches, and
go.
I don't like making them. So
If
I
you
will
aren't given
only
it,
speak
form
when it is
unions.
absolutely necessary. I will do what the industry needs of me, and it's not because I want to, but it's because it's what is needed of me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves.
Because of his
I want my
discourse,
videos to
he's
just be fun,
telegraphing that he's been
just something
attacked,
fun.
right?
I will keep creating
Let's go look.
the character analysis videos. I think those are a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying hearing from all of you. Take care, everyone. I'm going to enjoy
Analyzing
a
the
coffee.
worst game
Be
this
well.
person made. Analyzing assessment of Concord and the desire to bow out of the discourse when this shit happens. The person covering it. Marvel rivals taking discourse in
So
consideration.
before and after, but there's basically no
Good intro, right?
This is Toad. This is before and after. Before and after. And basically I just tried to darken the tone there so I can have some mid-tones here.
Honey, what you're missing might be the specific framing of this, talking about how this person speaking about how in industry he was raising that people were being discriminated against based upon their perceived gender. That's what this person is bringing up. And you're going to hear that and you're going to be like, well, men don't get discriminated against. And he's going to have already said, well, he spoke to someone in a hiring role that said that they would treat someone differently. So you're not going to challenge this, but you're going to enable growth, right? It can seem all over the place, but it's a consorted sense in that this person's goal is to defend people's ability to work, it sounds like, is what they're trying to attest. They want people to have a place to go in industry. And they're also under the impression that there is a corporatist takeover. Do you understand the relevance of a corporatist takeover? So why does Twitter matter? They're saying that the kind of people that go to Twitter with angry thumbs are the kind of people who are organizing a corporatist takeover. Sounds like that's their point, right? So if they're saying that the organized cells that are deployed corporately to have an end is, in this person's interpretation and analysis, the product of people who are angry on Twitter, then that would explain how we got here. So it doesn't seem all over the place. It seems quite consorted and actually very to the point, but it seems like it's doing so in a way that analyzes industry as a whole, hiring practices, and executives, you know? So does the statement, you're standing up for gamers, need to be made? No, that part not necessarily. When you're considering it in the context of you're standing up for like people's rights to be employed, that's relevant. And that's why my response to this bit in particular in isolation was have unions. Make sure that there are fair hiring practices. People are equal. I can side on those things. I can easily make the concession that those things are important, regardless of whom it is getting exploited. That's not a very hard stretch. We've known that consumer protections and hiring protections are remarkably important. We know that unions are important as well. We need collective bargaining. Valid. And so instead of trying to shadowbox the attempt at like even engaging the where it comes from, if it is from, in quotes, woke people or otherwise, my goal to really focus on is that they're seeing a division being sown in people and the consideration that jobs of people who have an identity that they had no choice in, their immutable bits, are being assessed by people who aren't them, and they are making an assumption about them and predetermining something for them that is prejudice at its root. If they're pointing out prejudice, you don't deal with prejudice by ignoring it. You listen to what you're told, you hear people out, you accept that everyone is a shit narrator of their experience. And yeah, is it woke people, in quotes, that I think are necessarily the problem, or a lack of protections for workers and a lack of protections for fair hiring practices? I think it's that one, because it doesn't matter who is subverting or doing an action. We see a point of exploitation that needs to be sewn up, and how do we do that? Better hiring protections, better protections for workers, more unions. Easy. They have a valid criticism in that if there is any point in which someone may inflict unfair hiring practices on any employee or any potential employee, that you need to address it, look at it, and hear people out. You're not going to get anywhere telling them to shut up and take the abuse that they perceive. Because when you go and look to someone who's supposed to give you help, you're not supposed to be discounted by them. You're supposed to hear the person that we listen to out to the best of our abilities and do what we can, you know. Oh, I know. But I'm taking mind of what they have received in their messages. You know? It's a lot scary because it doesn't matter who's doing the exploitation. What matters is there's a point in which we need to have better protections for employers to be able to protect their employees. We need people who are employees to have a better path to reporting. We probably need to remind everyone they can go to the equal employment folks, and they can also go to the labor board locally for themselves. That would be the relevant thingies, I think. When you see discrimination in the workplace, you report it formally via the proper channels. You don't go to social media and post about it alone. You also report it to proper channels. And I don't know if you should post about it when you report it, because you might interfere with investigations. However, you do the right thing and you make sure that when you see a point where people are exploiting others, you address it, because we all need to be stronger. And I'm sure that this person would get that too. I'm sure that we get that, this person gets it, but they're framing it as, and I quote, woke people, which seems like kind of, and again, they do really good analysis of like characters, like color blocking. It's quite nice. I really did like that. But also, I think that they are using this in quotes, again, to get engagement, I feel like this is more an engagement play when they phrase it this way, but primarily, I think that the point that they're getting at is oh well, there need to be better protections for all employees. That makes a lot of sense. That's understandable. I'll give you their VOD. You can, like, you know, pop off in their comments, be respectful, but if you have a question, like, do what I do. Just, like, say hello and say the words you want, but, like, don't be a dickneck. You know? Okay. I appreciate their discourse generally. I do think that my analysis of it differs from what theirs is, but I still appreciate their discourse, and it's really important when we hear people who say they're in pain to listen to them. You know, that said, I also have to rate us out. So you're coming with me. Enjoy. I have to do video editing stuff and have content stuff set for soon. So I will get on that.